Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host Scotty McCoy, and boy do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Stephen Erkintalo, and he is a paranormal investigator as well as an adult film star. Hey Stephen, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad to have you on. I know that you were getting a lot of traction from my promo flyer, which was pretty exciting. So I'm really excited to have you on. I know we originally met in a film that we were a part of. I'm no longer a part of it, unfortunately. But I'm just so glad that we could have connected and we can make this interview happen. So how you doing?
Yeah, of course. No, I'm doing really well. Yeah, the feedback. I mean, you did choose one of the most provocative photos out there that I have. One of them.
Absolutely.
Definitely kind of pushed it, but yeah, I loved it. I didn't know you weren't a part of the film anymore, but is what it is.
Yeah, what happened was I know my mom and her best friend, they were gonna take me to Tennessee for the filming, and it turns out they tested positive for COVID last week, and their 2 weeks would be up next week. So unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to make the drive down to Tennessee for that reason, but it's disappointing. But I know Hayden said that she would love to have me in a future film, of course, if that were to happen. So hopefully that can happen. So I guess the first thing I want to ask you, more of is just like, how did you get involved with like adult entertainment?
Yeah, that's actually I still don't even know, honestly. Where to begin? I guess. Man, I don't know. I guess I've had people over the past few years always tell me I should do an OnlyFans, get an OnlyFans. I never wanted to get an OnlyFans for whatever reasoning. I just figured it was going to like hinder what I do with paranormal and just all sorts of things. I just didn't want one. So then I had people contact me that had ends with doing porn, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and I was then rejecting that because I was like, well, I'm not even doing an OnlyFans yet, so I definitely don't want to do all this.
Right.
And then one day I went through a bad breakup, and that honestly kind of just triggered everything. I said, oh, whatever, let's just try it. What's the worst that can happen? I already had a great run in the paranormal, which was my main goal, my main focus, and a lot of that's still going to be happening. But since I've established myself, I believe, well enough in that and other areas, I figured porn's not going to hurt. So I decided to go to Miami and film porn, and then I kind of sat around for a while waiting for the footage. It was OnlyFans content, but it was with some big names in the porn industry. And after that was my first take in Miami, maybe a year, almost not even a year ago, maybe in June of last year. And then what happened after that? And then I got contacted by the same agency to do more OnlyFans content. And then as my second video was sold to a studio, and now a studio wants me to come regularly to film with them. So I really have no idea how it happened. I know it sounds like it's so difficult to get into, and it probably really is. So I just got lucky, extremely lucky on it. It's the right people, right time, right moment, right whatever it is that I was presenting I don't really have there's no like I had to go here, I had to sleep with 100 different people, I got played, I could use there's none of that like crazy backstory. It's just got lucky.
Right. And right before we get into the paranormal stuff, one last question about the adult entertainment industry. Now, is it as easy as it seems? Like, is it just show up, have sex, get filmed and done? Or is it harder than people can imagine?
I feel like I haven't done it much as of yet, but I've been seen a lot. I think depends on how long you've been doing it and how involved you are with it. But I've even seen people that have been doing this for 15 years still get soft and have issues trying, because there are multiple cameras around you, and it's not you just show up and have sex. I know it's like when you show up, you'll have sex for maybe 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes in one position, stop, everybody has to get hard again, get prepped up, change the cameras, and then you do it again for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then same process. You just keep doing that. So normal sex, what average person lasts, maybe 7 to 10 minutes.
Right.
I feel like a whole sex scene, like to get beginning to end, can take 4 hours to make a 7-minute
Crazy.
good quality film, you know.
So pretty much the same thing as filming a movie, except naked. You know, like a 30-second edited video could take 2 hours to pretty much, you know, film. Yeah. So what about becoming a paranormal investigator? Well, how did you get your start into that? What made you want to do that?
So I get, you know, same as a lot of other people say that, you know, being a kid, growing up, experiencing things, la-di-da, just the whole kit and caboodle with that aspect. Everybody experiences things. Skip a bunch of years later, I was maybe 22, 23, maybe a little older, I don't know, but I was watching a TV show, Ghost Adventures came on, and I thought I could do this, but better. Like, I've experienced this so many times. Like, what is this? This is nothing.
Right.
So I contacted a friend of mine, and we were like, yeah, let's go be ghost hunters. Let's go try stuff. So we bought a digital voice recorder, a night vision camera, just the basic stuff. Went to a place called Casadega, Florida, and it was a spiritualist camp. And I remember we tried to film, we were doing whatever, and it was really weird because at first it was super weird talking to yourself in the dark, not knowing what's going on. It's just weird. It's odd to do. And I remember we were standing outside, probably like 2:30 in the morning, outside on the deck of the hotel, by the gift shop, and we both heard a little girl say hello, and we looked at each other, and that kind of changed a lot for me in that aspect. I was like, this is something I want to do. I want to see how far I can push this. And the rest kind of, again, I just trial and error, trying to do this, trying to do that, switch things up, getting locations, talking to people, making connections, the same way you would do anything else in any entertainment aspect. And I just started to realize that it's a real petty field with a lot of people that are just grown men and women who are the worst of the worst I've ever seen in any type of industry ever. And I remember I took a long break at one point, like 8 months to a year, because I didn't want to do it anymore because of all the attacking and the bullying and everything that's going on. And then I came back and decided to do it my way, and not your typical standard way that you've been seeing on TV for every single time you watch anything paranormal related. And ever since then, I think I really found my niche and my go-to, and it went from one level to a whole new level when I just went live on social media, cut myself on a Ouija board, bled all over the board, and said, this is how I'm going to do things. And ever since then, everybody's head turned, and the podcast started coming, and I was hosting numerous podcasts at the same time. And then Haunted Tours came, and then other productions were knocking at my door, wanting this, wanting that. So I pretty much got into that by just doing it. There's no, again, it's kind of like the porn. I think the porn and that's a little different, because the porn, you really have to know somebody. The paranormal, you just say, hey, I want to go to this haunted location. Let me pick up the phone, see what their phone number is. How much does it cost to book it? Cool, you're free. Let me book it. I'm going to come stay the night, or whatever time length it is, and do your equipment thingies and post it on YouTube or wherever it is you feel the need to post it. It's a little bit easier to do. It's just, you're not going to get a lot of recognition. You're just going to blend in with the crowd. If somebody's ambition and goal is to be something in the paranormal, it's very slim chance. It's so hard. That's harder than porn, in my opinion. I feel like that's harder than porn, because porn, all you got to do is have a penis if you're a male and come. And if you're in the in the paranormal, it's you're talking to yourself in the dark, and good luck if you actually get something, right? And you're going to drop probably almost $500 to $1,000 to get a good location. So you kind of just, it's a gamble, but I love it. That's what I love the most. And then over the years, I really expanded my horizons with it. I stopped believing in ghosts. I started believing more in consciousness and subconsciousness, and harnessing light bending, different dimensions that, you know, we create ourselves. I believe that exists more than actual ghost. Or ghosts, I guess we'll call them, because it's there's so much more to it than just labeling it a paranormal thing.
And speaking of that, I never told the story on my podcast before, and that's why I figured this would be a perfect time to speak of that. And you mentioned about consciousness, subconsciousness, and all that, and ghosts. And my dad actually passed away this past August. He was battling brain cancer for 5 years, and he passed away after 5 years of battling it. And he was having like this like he was throwing up and he was in and out of consciousness. Eventually he went into a coma and that about an hour later he was gone. So what happened was he had a blood clot that would cause a brain bleed in his brain. That's what ended up killing him. But I was waiting for the phone call. It was like maybe 11 o'clock at night, and I seen a vision of my dad right in my room. My dad didn't have access to his left side at all. Like his left hand, left arm, he couldn't access any of that. He could barely walk, and his smile was always crooked and all that because he had a stroke after brain surgery, 5 years ago. So here he lifted up. I saw a vision of him, and he lifted up his hand and he waved to me. And he smiled as straight as can be, standing as straight as can be. And then he just vanished, maybe 5 seconds. And my aunt Luann ended up calling me because they were all trying to figure out who's going to tell Scotty that he died. So my aunt Luann called me about 5 minutes after this all happened. She said, "Your dad passed away. I'm sorry, bud." And I'm like, "How long ago?" She's like, "5 minutes ago." I'm like, whoa, interesting. Like my dad was literally there 5 minutes ago, right when he died. Like he was saying his goodbye to me. And then like maybe a couple of weeks after this all happened, everything, I was staying at my mom's house and I was sleeping on the recliner, and I got up and got something to drink, went back to my recliner. I was, in and out of sleep pretty much. So I went back, I closed my eyes, and, you're in that brink, between half awake and half asleep. And, I ended up hearing as clear as day my dad's voice. He just said, "Scott." And I woke up like, "Dad?" Like I'm looking because like to me, like it was clear as day. I heard his voice, clear as day. And it was like it was the freakiest thing I've heard because I was so rattled by that. Now, do you think that is a sign of also of paranormal, like of my dad's spirit coming down?
I mean, it's almost kind of like, I feel like, so the paranormal, a lot of people get confused what the paranormal means. The paranormal actually has nothing to do with ghosts. It actually has to do with the humans ourselves. Telekinesis is paranormal. The paranormal has nothing to do with demons, ghosts, spirits, anything whatsoever. So, but I do believe that the consciousness aspect, like when the space shuttle breaks the sonic boom, you're boom, it's like an indent in the universe, right?
Right.
And energy never dies. We're just not harnessed. So therefore, I do think that when you die, little bits of you are here's your vessel, right? You see me, I see you, right? When you die, your consciousness is no longer harnessed here or harnessed within you. So it's going to disperse everywhere.
Yeah.
It can't stay whole if it's not harnessed by anything.
Right.
So that's why I think little bits and pieces of things are what you're going to hear and see. You're not going to see a full-blown sentence. You're not going to see now right after death. I think there's more of a possibility of that because they just left their body, instantly, boom. So they haven't had that time to just.
Okay.
So to hear a simple, Scotty, Scott, hi, hey, hello. And that's what a lot of us pick up on EVPs and recorders because it's simple. Those are just little tiny fragments of our consciousness. It's not like you're going to sit here and have a full-blown conversation like we're having right now with a spirit because their consciousness isn't whole anymore like it used to be. So I do think that makes sense to hear a one word from your dad rather than having a full-blown conversation with him as if he's in the kitchen. Right. Because it's to me, that makes sense. Based off how energy actually works and what energy does when it's not being harnessed. So like if you cut the power line, right, where energy is going through it, you're not going to have power anymore because it's no longer there. It doesn't mean that energy when you cut it isn't going into the universe. You just can't grab it all like this and put it into existence anymore. So it's the same thing with energy and spirits. Our brain waves have been proven that it is pure energy.
So that really does make sense then. Like when he passed away, that really could have been him there because it was literally that moment when he died that I seen him. And then a couple weeks later, I just hear one word from him, and that was just the one word. So that does make a lot of sense. That's actually really interesting. So have you ever seen, like, because when you stayed at like a haunted attraction or a haunted location or whatever, have you ever seen any type of ghost spirits or anything of the sort?
I feel them more than see them.
Okay.
I feel like because you can feel energy more than you can, again, like if it's not harnessed within anything, it's kind of hard to see energy because you can't, if you look to the left and right of you right now, you're not going to see energy. You're just not going to be able to see it. Our light spectrum with our own eyes, we can't pick that up, but certain light spectrums can. So if you're in the dark inside of a haunted location, you can't even see it in the light. So to be able to see that in the dark with your own eyes, it's slim to none chance. Now I have on infrared cameras and night vision cameras, once I've like said, if I'm recording it and I'm looking at the screen, I haven't seen anything on that before, but when I went back and reviewed it, I have seen black shadow figures form on camera or run by really fast or anything like that. And again, I feel like that is part of, it wasn't a full apparition like you said with your dad, but it was fragments of energy and you couldn't make it out because again, there's separate fragments of it. It's not a piece of the puzzle. So I've seen those before, and pictures, of course. I believe the video over pictures, because pictures, you know, I look too hard and I see pixels, and then I'm like, my eyes are like, it's like finding an image in the cloud. I'm like, okay, I see it, and I'm like, I thought way too hard on that. I connected the dots. There's no way that's something. But I have on video, and probably, like, have I seen anything? I'm trying to think. I feel like I have, like, out of the corner of your eye, but I think we've all felt that. So whether that is something or not, I don't know. But to visually just turn and see something, never. I've turned and I thought I saw something move by really fast, but I'm in a haunted place and I want to see that. So again, I'm thinking that I might see it.
Right. Now, have you ever thought of going to, like, say, Gettysburg to do any of this?
I would go there because the history is phenomenal. Like, it really happened there, and a lot about. I don't like investigating outside because there's too much outside interference. You can, no matter what you hear, you're going to always hear something. And again, the fact that you're on haunted grounds or in a haunted place, your mind's going to want to hear cannons go off. Your mind's going to want to hear these things go off. There's plenty of times, I don't know about you, but have you ever just laid down in bed before and you're trying to sleep and all of a sudden, like, you hear your name or you hear something and you're in between that stage of something, kind of like with your dad, you know, like you're in between that stage, you hear it. But if you're inside, right, there's no outside interferences with that. If you're outside and that's happening, that could be,
it could literally be like a squirrel, like, walking on a leaf and you think you hear a ghost walking behind you or something. Like,
exactly. And you take a photo of something outside and it's foggy. There's so many variables for Gettysburg that.
And if it's foggy, you're gonna see what you're gonna want to see. Just like you said, looking up at the clouds. And you're looking up at the clouds, you're looking at something. The same thing in the fog. You're looking to make a pattern out of the fog and say, oh, is that something? You know.
And that happens in St. Augustine, Florida, a lot with the lighthouse. People will say, "Oh, I see a woman in white," mysteriously. Like, oh, okay, but it was foggy that night. Fog is white, and you took a picture of, like, of course you saw something in white. Like, it's all fog. So,
absolutely. So what was the craziest thing you have done in paranormal? Like, what do you think, like, what was the craziest thing you've ever done and that you've ever experienced?
That I've done to maybe get footage, and what I don't think it's crazy, but I know other people think, like, when I laid on the train tracks with the train coming was crazy, the gun to my head, the noose around my neck, cutting on myself on a Ouija board. I guess at Bobby Mackey's recently, like, I buried myself.
Saw that video
thing. I don't think that's crazy, but I know that it's not your normal way to do investigations. So I could see how it is. And I'm gonna do a lot of cool things this year, though. Things that are gonna be crazy. That are gonna be like, whoa. So I can't say what, because I know that if I do, somebody sees it, they're going to go take it or warn the whole entire location.
If people want to see what you're going to be doing, where can they view this at?
Probably just YouTube.
Okay.
Like, just my name, just YouTube. I'm not, or my website, the realstevenerkintalo.com. I'm not like, I'm not trying to get a network deal with any of this stuff at the moment. I'm not trying to do anything like that. So just simple, free, easy. Go check it out.
Absolutely. So with the Ouija board, when you do the Ouija board, what do you expect to happen? Like, what are you trying to get out of that?
At first, it was just a big F you to the entire paranormal community, because they hated that I did it. They hated everything about it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. So that was my rise out of it. There was nothing else about it. And now I put the spirit box, which is it scans white noise at however fast you want to do it. I do it at 150 milliseconds, which I believe is like 0.150 seconds. It goes super fast, just and you can hear voices coming through that are picking up over radio frequencies that don't even exist. So I find that to be interesting. So I'll put that on the Ouija board now. And you can actually hear things coming through, which I'll do on lives on Facebook. So the more I've been doing that over the years, the more interested I've become in the Ouija board, I guess, in a way. But it's still kind of I don't know what to expect with the Ouija board. I just know people used to hate it, and all of a sudden it's all over the place and everybody loves it, and that annoys me because I got a lot of backlash for it, and now all of a sudden everybody welcomes it. I don't find that fair one bit.
Right.
But I love it, man. It was just, like I said, a big F you to the field, and it turned into something that became my thing.
Right.
I love it. I got it tattooed on my chest. So
Nice.
I plan on implementing that this year a lot more into the investigations.
Right.
So speaking of the spirit box, I actually follow, I think it's Hope Paranormal. I don't know if you ever heard of them. I follow them on YouTube, and they do spirit boxes with celebrities that passed away, like Bob Saget. They do one on Betty White, and they do it on the Gabby Petito case. Do you believe those are legitimate and really Betty White?
I hate people that do that. I hate people that do that. It's Steve Huff. There's a guy named Steve Huff who does it. The second they die, right?
Yeah,
literally the second they die. Yeah, like the second. What is it that who is it? Is it Huff?
I think it's the Hope Paranormal. It might have been Steve Huff. If the name sounds familiar.
It's like a bald dude, like just white guy that's a photographer. That dude's such a clown. So he does this all the time, and it's like the fact. I don't even know what to say about this one. Me and him got in. He's blocked me so many times. We've got into it so many times. First off, who are you? That Betty White is literally gonna find their way to you in your little tiny house to come talk to you on a device that you made when you don't even know how energy works. Like, I've listened to him try to explain it, and he has no idea how frequency or hertz or any of that works. Like, he's a photographer. So it makes no sense. Like, you know how to take photos. That is it. Stop trying. And yeah, man, every time he says that they came through, like every time.
Yeah.
And that makes no sense. That's absurd. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't add up. And I don't see how, like, if maybe he could sit there and explain to me, or to anybody actually explain why somebody who passed away in LA or wherever is going 3,000 miles to visit you first. What you don't even know them, but they're gonna bypass their family, all these other electromagnetic energies, all these other devices going off. They're gonna just laser focus on your little spirit box, which is like a needle in a haystack, a little dot on a map. They're gonna come find you to say hi. And then on top of that, he's not going and getting like a video clip of their voice from any show they've ever done, and then record the voice that he captured. Let's put it side by side in hertz and frequency, and let's see how well it matches up to see if it actually is their voice. All he's got to do is do that one time, and if that matches up, proof. He would change. It would be game over. Like, you would finally have proof that the dead exist and are coming to you. Right? Like, without a shadow of a doubt, they're dead. Their frequency matches what he was saying on America's Funniest Home Videos or the Golden Girls. Right. You now can't question it. But he's not doing that. Matter of fact, nobody's doing that. I'm not even doing that. I'm going to do that now that I just said it. But it's actually a pretty good idea. But
and he's done people like Kobe Bryant right when he died, and right
when he died. Like, I'm pretty sure the dude went to go see his wife, if anything.
Right.
He didn't come run to you.
A world-renowned basketball player.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh my God. So have you ever been fearful when you've done these type of investigations?
Yeah, I get nervous all the time because I know before I became more, I guess intelligent with what energy is and how it can affect your mind. Way before I understood all of that, I would do these investigations and do darker techniques and whatnot, and I would invite all sorts of different energies in, just like you can invite them in the real world, you know, law of attraction, all that fun stuff, right? I would start hearing thoughts and hearing like tones speak in my mind, like of kids, boys, girls, men, women, and different types of thoughts that I never understood what was going on, that would cause like suicidal thoughts, hardcore depression, not understanding anything, what was going on. And then when I realized what was happening, I was able to control it a little bit better, my own thoughts. So I feel like I know what it can do to you. And that part scares me. But I feel like now that I'm a little bit wiser to it, if I know that I'm going into an investigation, I know what I'm about to do. I know that if the aftermath effects, I start changing a little bit, my personality, my temper, my anger, my thoughts or whatever, I know what it is. So I could stop it and be like, I know what this is. Let it go. Just stop. I know that I know this. And before I never knew that. So that was scary. So I'm always prepped for that aspect, but it's always scary because you shouldn't be hearing these things. You shouldn't be feeling these things in the dark by yourself. You just shouldn't. So it's anyone that says they don't get scared, then you're not doing it right, because it should be scary.
Yeah. So I guess more of a controversial topic, and it doesn't have to necessarily be religious based, but do you believe in an afterlife? And if so, what does that afterlife look to you? Like, what does it look like to you?
Man, that's a good question. I feel I believe in an afterlife because like we said, energy doesn't die. And that's all we are, is energy. But what does it look like afterwards? Do we go to our own paradise? You know, do we see that? Are we experiencing that as the bodies we're in? I mean, I don't believe that. Yeah, it's a tough one, because I've thought about this so much. Like, what is it? Being that space is literally, there's no end. It's just all black, 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 black. The further you go. I mean, maybe it's almost like a DMT trip. You know, when DMT takes off, you see all these flashes before your eyes because DMT is exploded into your brain, and then you see your life flash before your eyes, they say. So maybe it's just a huge cycle of everything you've ever done within energy. You know, you have an old soul, a new soul, as energy doesn't die. I don't think we go to a heaven in this body. Like, that doesn't make sense. I'm not 36 years old. I feel wiser. My intelligence is wiser than 36 years old. So I know my energy is older than that. Same with yours. So, I mean, maybe we just keep seeing reruns of everything that we've ever done in our entire existence of consciousness. And that's our trip. That's our journey. And we just never know. So we're just, I don't know. I really don't know what to believe in that one. The more every day it's going to change. Like next week, it will change because I'm going to study something that's going to make more sense from something that I learned 2 years ago. And I'm going to pile that on. So it's always going to be, okay, this makes more sense than this. So this is probably it because it just makes sense.
Right. Absolutely. And everybody's version of the afterlife is different. If you're a Christian or if you're a religious type of being, it could be, you know, the heaven and hell. Or if you are like, you know, like you said, it could be, you know, the reruns, or it could be like you just die and your life is over. There's nothing, you know, people have their own versions of it. And it could be very controversial because people believe their own beliefs. And, you know, some people don't want to hear other people's belief system or what they believe, whether it's a religious side of things or it's a scientific side of things. And it's an answer that can be different for anybody, and it's really a complex question. So the last question I do got for you is, do you have any future projects or any social media accounts, websites? I know you mentioned it earlier, but anything that you would like to plug to the listening and viewing audience?
Just a lot of projects, a lot of porn projects. A lot of filming monthly for that. A lot of paranormal projects coming up. Man, there's so much. The book's coming up. The filming for the Freddy movie.
Nice.
It's coming up. There's so much coming out. Like I don't know, but you could. I mean, and then if you just look my name up, Stephen Erkintalo, that's where you're gonna find everything. Yeah. I try to keep it all the same to where it's not confusing. So bad. Or then or then the real Vin Rocks, of course. And Vin Rocks is VINROXX,
Okay.
2 X's. I don't, trying to think. I'm not really creating any more social medias because I keep getting banned and reported, and it's a mess. So
Right.
I guess this whoever wants to find one, just pick one and hope for the best, and then you'll see my promotions on it. So I'm going to start trafficking everybody though eventually to all the websites, just the real StephenErkintalo.com and the real VinRocks.com. Just make it simple, but it's trying to get everybody to understand those sites and stop with social media because you're limited on social media.
Yeah.
So on these sites, I won't be limited anymore.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan. Well, I thank you, Stephen, for joining me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love it. I love it. This is my first one in like a year. I don't think I've been interviewed in a long time. I love it.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Well, I'm so glad that we could make it happen. And I did learn a lot. And I mean, of course I follow you. You're on my Facebook and everything as well. And hopefully you won't get banned from there.
No.
All right. You have a good rest of your day, buddy.
You too. Thank you so
right.
much.
Yep. Bye.